to discover Fall River, a program focusing on the variety of activities found right here in Fall River, Massachusetts. Located in the southeastern part of the state, Fall River dates back to the 18th century and is just 50 miles south of Boston and minutes from Newport, Providence, and Cape Cod, making it an ideal destination for a day trip. Fall River is home to a wide range of engaging museums, historic gems, and other places of interest. And every year, people come from far and wide to visit. Today, we'll show you around 9 Fall River attractions, 3 of which have earned the coveted Certificate of Excellence from TripAdvisor, and 2 are listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Let's start here on the Fall River waterfront, home to 3 attractions including Battleship Cove, the world's largest collection of U.S. World War II naval vessels, 5 of which are National Historic Landmarks.
Battleship Cove is a very unique museum. I think when you think about museums, people think things under a glass case. And Battleship Cove is so wonderfully different from that because our things are actually ships that fought in different wars throughout our history. The battleship started the whole museum. It arrived in Fall River in June of 1965. So this last summer we just celebrated 50-year anniversary of the battleship arriving. She was saved by her crew. This battleship was destined to be scrapped. She was no longer needed by the Navy. She had been decommissioned for several years. And her former crew basically said, no way, we want her to be preserved as a museum. So we have the Battleship Massachusetts, World War II battleship, a destroyer, Joseph P. Kennedy Jr., a submarine Lionfish, 2 PT boats, and then our odd boat out is the Hidden Sea, which is a Russian missile corvette from the 1980s in the Cold War. And so all of these ships, you come here, you're not looking at anything under a case. You're actually able to walk around these ships, explore. So many of the spaces are open, and you really get a feel for what it was like to be a sailor on one of these ships. And not only that, we have several exhibits on the ships that will teach you about an aspect of history, whether that's our women's exhibit, how women served in the armed forces, whether that's our crew members exhibit, so you get a chance to learn about what life was like for the crew members on this ship. We have a lot to offer, and in that way, I think Battleship Cove is extremely unique as a museum. So the most popular program here at Battleship Cove is our overnight camping program. We were one of the pioneers in bringing scout groups and family groups to sleep over at a museum. The program started in 1972, so it's been going 42 years and going at this point. And so that's an opportunity to come really sleep over on the ship. You're sleeping in the racks 4 high. You will not get a good night's sleep, but however, you will get the authentic experience of a Navy sailor. Vietnam History Day, which we have in August, celebrates our Vietnam history and collections here at Battleship Cove. We have a Pacific Island Day in February that teaches folks about the different Pacific Island cultures the PT boaters encountered during World War II. Space Saturday is a nod to the destroyers' role in the space capsule recovery missions in the 1960s. So we offer these type of themed programming. We also have special guided tours given by a lot of our very enthusiastic volunteers. Those are behind-the-scene tours. And then we also offer special events like our Navy Christmas dinner, our Battleship Brew Fest, and our Halloween Boo Bash. Our hours here at Battleship Cove, we're open 7 days a week, April 1st to December 31st. And then from January 1st to March 31st, we're open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So you can get more information by checking our website, www.battleshipcove.org. We also have a very active Facebook page, so please friend us.
A short walk away from Battleship Cove, you'll find maritime artifacts, memorabilia, and more at the Marine Museum at Fall River.
I'm Maria Van. I'm the director of the Marine Museum at Fall River. I'm also the director of collections at Battleship Cove. The museum was founded in 1968 by a whole group of local citizens who thought the local and regional history of maritime culture needed to be preserved. And those things included the Fall River Line, a local connection to the Titanic tragedy, as well as the whaling culture of the region. The museum's been in existence for almost 50 years now, and we tell, some local, like I said, and regional stories, but in addition, there's some national and international stories that we can tell through our 150 plus ship models, our collection of prints, paintings, objects that came right off of boats and ships. So our main gallery exhibit is entitled Sails, Paddles, and Screws: The History of Maritime Travel and Culture. What we've done is divided the museum into 3 forms of vessel propulsion. So in the first area we talk about sailing ships, and then we tell some stories within that area. We talk about the Bounty, for instance, which is a really great story about, I guess, one of the most fascinating mutinies of all time, but it's also important to Fall River history because she was birthed here, the replica ship, for many, many years after, and then tragically lost in Hurricane Sandy. Our second area is about paddle ships, and so we talk about steam technology, growing middle class, tourism, very much focused around the Fall River line, and we have an opportunity here at the museum to tell students and the general public alike about technology and the growth of technology and commerce. And then our third section is about screw technology, or propellers as most people know it. And in that section we talk about ocean liners and warships and merchant vessels. So our merchant vessel section, for instance, has objects from the United Fruit Company, which was a great importer here to Fall River, and basically brought bananas, a once unknown fruit, to New England. And so we tell stories like that, or we tell stories about the Titanic and a local resident of Fall River who was the last Massachusetts survivor of that tragedy. The Marine Museum is located right on the waterfront down the street from Battleship Cove. We're at 70 Water Street. We are in what was once an old part of the ironworks factory, and we've basically, reimagined this building as a museum. We have a website that you can check out at www.marinemuseumfr.org. That has a list of events and opportunities that are going on here at the museum, including lectures by maritime historians, family days, art workshops that are tied to maritime themes. We have all sorts of things happening here. The Marine Museum has a research library on the second floor of our facility. It's open by appointment only at this point. What we have in the library is over 3,000 texts, ship logs, ephemera, newspapers, a whole photographic collection. So some rich history up there that researchers and just enthusiasts would maybe like to check out. And recently we've expanded, so now Battleship Cove has brought their research library over in our space. So if anyone's interested in finding out more, they can contact the museum. The Marine Museum is open now for the season, and we're open on Tuesdays through Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visitors can come and enjoy themselves here now through the end of December.
Also here on the waterfront, a collection of railroad equipment and memorabilia at the Old Colony and Fall River Railroad Museum.
My name is Jay Chatterton. I'm the president of the Old Colony and Fall River Railroad Museum. We started this museum, myself and another gentleman, in April of 1986. The museum is unique, first of all, in the fact that it's in railroad cars. We're preserving the history of the Fall River area, concentrating mostly on Fall River, but we've got some stuff from Somerset area and going towards the north, like most of the boat trains. They originated here, went up to Boston and came back. It was an overnight trip. If you left Boston at 5 o'clock in the evening, you come down to Fall River. By 7 o'clock, you're on the ship headed down to Newport. And then from there, you went right into New York City. Back in 1888, it was $2.85. We had the steamships, and we had a lot of cotton mills, but the raw cotton came into the city a little bit by rail and a lot by the steamships, but a lot of the product left here by rail. This rail helped develop this entire city. There was different ways to get in the city by rail. It wasn't just on the waterfront where we are now. There used to be a rail line that came in from New Bedford all the way through right into the heart of the city up on Plymouth Avenue. So There was rail yards all over this area. At one point, there was 54 trains that either came through or originated in this city in a 24-hour period. You know, some of the old timers, it's looking at all the nostalgic pictures that we have, and you know, I was down here when the boats left. I was too young to go on the boat, but I can remember my parents singing on the Fall River line. Young kids, it's where we are right now, in a caboose. They love being in a caboose. We also have that small area, and it's kind of geared so young children have some tactile things to do with trains, wooden trains and stuff like that, while you look in the display cases to see what we've got in there. We're open every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays from 12 to 3. We can also open up for appointment if a group wants to come down. Easiest way to get a hold of the museum is on our Facebook page, Old Colony Fall River Museum.
Before you leave the waterfront, take the kids to the Fall River Carousel at Battleship Cove, a colorful antique wooden ride built in the early 20th century. And now we're at the Children's Museum of Greater Fall River, featuring Legos and an interactive game floor. How cool is that? Yeah?
My name is Joanne Sprague. I am happy to serve as the Executive Director of the Children's Museum of Greater Fall River, located at 441 North Main Street, right here in Fall River. The museum with walls was founded in 2012 when we signed the lease for this wonderful building, the former Superior Courthouse. We're proud to have 8 exhibits on the first floor, and now we're beginning the second floor, which we're really excited about. Our most popular are Dinosaur and Violet's Music Room. The new train room is almost ready to go again, and water's always popular with the kids and Legos. So we have lots of interesting things on the first floor. And then on the second floor, the virtual gaming floor is the most popular upstairs. And our idea behind this, we're calling it a wing for healthy living, healthy lifestyle. And the idea is kids like technology, but we want to keep them moving. So instead of sitting with iPads, they're using gross motor skills and dancing and jumping around. So we're really happy about that. Say from 1 year of age up to about 9 years old is our core age group. So it's education in the most basic ways. A lot of our exhibits are STEM related, or we like to say STEAM because we have the art component as well. So it's hands-on learning for children. Today, kids' lives are so organized. Everything is organized, sports and art lessons and music lessons, and we know recess is being taken away more and more in schools. So it's just a wonderful venue for children to be themselves, to find what they like to do, to explore, discover, and grow is one of our taglines. We will be having some special programming. One in particular I'm very excited about is we're bringing a storyteller in for a storytelling series. We'll be doing our Free Fun Friday again in August. Animal Instincts will be partnering with us on that day, and some other projects throughout the summer. So we'll be putting a calendar up on Facebook as well as on the web. There'll be a monthly calendar for summer activities. We'll also be open an extra day. We'll be opening on Tuesdays instead of Sundays for the summer. So we'll give field trips and groups on vacation more opportunity during the week. Well, we have our website, cmgfr.org, or Facebook. You can like us on Facebook and be friends with us on Facebook. Those are certainly 2 good ways to keep up with it.
Also in the neighborhood is the Children's Aquarium Exploration Center of Greater Fall River, with a touch tank where kids can hold starfish, urchins, and other sea creatures.
I started the aquarium out of noticing a deficit in the city in terms of what there is to do for children, specifically hands-on learning. I figured we would create a place that people would be drawn to for the fact that their children won't just be standing there listening to words being spoken, they're actually touching everything, and they know how it feels and what it sounds like sometimes. For instance, our mantis shrimp, the kids get a kick out of the sounds that makes. So it's using all of their senses, including creativity, where they can dress up as a sea creature or a pirate or a mermaid and act out what they've experienced.
We have this 16-foot touch tank system, 3 tanks of tropical specimens, as well as 3 tanks of native saltwater specimens that you would find here in New England throughout our marine waterways, here in our Taunton River as well. A few of the other sections in-house are our cichlid section, which houses Central and South American cichlids. We also have an African display, so African cichlids. Part of our unique ability is that we not only have what's native here in New England, but we also specialize in what's around the world that you can see in different places. And we try to bring in particular specimens that have unique characteristics or great talking points or interesting adaptations. Really, it's a community public aquarium, and it's because of the community that is here. It was a need, and we filled it. And I really think it's a super positive addition to the already existing great things that are here in Fall River. So if you are interested in visiting the Children's Aquarium, we certainly would love to have you stop by and check us out and bring the kids and have them become inspired, learn about what's in the sea. We're open Saturdays and Sundays, Saturdays from 10 to 5 and Sundays from 12 to 5.
In 1892, one of the most famous crimes of all time took place in Fall River, the murders of Andrew and Abby Borden, allegedly at the hand of Andrew's daughter, Lizzie Borden. Today, students of both the crime and paranormal come to Fall River to tour the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast Museum.
Hello, my name is Richard Bertoldo. I'm a tour guide here at the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast Museum, located at, well, historically it's the 92 2nd Street address, but the addresses were changed in the early 1900s, so it's actually 230 2nd Street now, but it's the same house, never been moved. Built here in 1845 by Mr. Southard Miller for Mr. Charles Trafton originally. Andrew bought the property in 1872, and they lived here to 1892, unfortunately, when the tragedy occurred here in the house on August the 4th, 1892. It's a fascinating house. We have tours every day from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Last tour's at 3. Overnight guests check in after 4. And it's an amazing experience just being here in the house where all this happened. The furniture in the house, none of it's original to the Bordens, unfortunately. They moved out in 1893, the girls, and we had to use black and white photos and documentation to replicate what the house looked like back then. But as you go through the house and you look at some of the crime scene photos that are available to look at, you take a notice of the furniture that's in the pictures, you see that they did an incredible job with the house. Not too many places in the entire world that you can go to and see a crime scene still intact. And they've done such a marvelous job here that we have schools that come here, forensics classes, law classes. From what I'm told, it's one of the most studied murder trials in U.S. history, and it's quite an amazing story in itself. We have 6 bedrooms in the house, 8 beds. If you put 2 people in each bed, that's 16 people. Plus we have 4 roll-out cots, so we can actually accommodate up to 20 people a night. And if you wanted to, you can rent out the entire house for the evening if you wanted to. And a lot of groups will do that. But we generally tell people that if they're going to plan something like that, it's going to be a family reunion, let us know well in advance so that we can hide all the sharp instruments in the house. It's an amazing place. You have to come and check it out.
Are you curious to learn more? You'll find a wide range of material about Lizzie Borden's life and trial, including the original crime scene photos across town in the historical Highland District at Fall River Historical Society.
Hi, my name is Michael Montans. I'm the curator of the Fall River Historical Society. We're the oldest organization in Fall River dedicated to preserving artifacts pertaining to the city's history. We were founded in 1921. And we're housed in a beautiful structure which is a unique combination of the Greek Revival style and the French Second Empire style, and we are a National Register listed property. The house has magnificent period interiors and large collections Primarily pertaining to local history. Everything in the collection has some relationship to Fall River history, but it is a magnificent and very diverse collection. The Fall River Historical Society has spent years restoring the property, and the interiors especially have been restored, and we've brought them back as much as possible so that the original period detail really shines now. In addition, we have a number of items in the house that are original to the structure, so that when people visit, they're confronted with two things. A house museum, because we are a historic house museum, but we're also a museum of local history, so there are galleries with a number of exhibits as well. Every year, the Historical Society conducts a holiday open house, and we're now drawing visitors from outside the region. It really has become a destination attraction for the holiday season. And the house is really resplendent during the holiday season. In fact, our trees, our decorated trees, have won awards in international tree decorating competitions. We even did a Marie Antoinette tree. We do an upside-down Christmas tree every year. So the trees are really spectacular. In addition, at that time of the year, we have a very well-stocked museum shop. Now, our museum shop is open year-round, but during the holiday season, it really is a boutique-style shop with a number of rooms on several floors, very wide range of merchandise. So the holiday season is really wonderful at the Historical Society. The Fall River Historical Society is recognized worldwide as the central repository for material pertaining to the infamous 1892 Borden murder case. In our collections are any of the extant original evidence and a number of materials that have been donated to the Historical Society or acquired by the Historical Society worldwide over a number of years. The collection is used by scholars and researchers, and certainly anyone working on books or documentaries. And of course, there are people with a passing interest. So we have lots of tourists who visit the Historical Society. If one's coming to Fall River with an interest in Lizzie Borden, it is really essential to visit the Historical Society because all of the extant material is contained in our collections. Everything here is documented. So many people know about the legend, they know about the myth, but very few people know the facts of the case, and that's something that we try to bring forward. In addition to the museum, the Historical Society operates the Charlton Library of Fall River History, and contained in the archive and library are a large number of volumes pertaining to local history and regional history in many ways. We also have a very large collection of periodicals pertaining to local history, so we have newspapers here going back to the 1840s, and an extensive collection of manuscripts and photographs. For example, the photograph collection is in excess of 20,000 images. And the archive and library are open to the public. We do recommend appointments, but we have a number of people who come here researching local history, genealogy, and things like that. I would certainly encourage anyone interested in local history or Lizzie Borden history or architectural history to visit the Historical Society. We've often been likened to the hidden gem of southeastern Massachusetts, and I think that's really the case. People get much more than they expect when they visit the Historical Society. It's an incredible structure and well worth visiting.
Starting next year in 2017, visitors will be able to tour Maplecroft, the stately Victorian house where Lizzie Borden lived following her release from jail.
My name is Christy Bates. I am the owner of Maplecroft. I will be managing it. I purchased it at the end of November of 2014. We will be offering several tours, one of which will be a tour of the home. We will also have a behind-the-scenes tour, and that would be more of the property, basement, and then also third floor servants' quarters. We'll have special tours for that. Additionally, we're going to have special events, including tea parties, educational events, the etiquette of setting a table, and whatnot. In addition, we'll be offering tarot card readings on the third floor. What I think is unique about this home is that it did belong to Lizzie Borden. However, it's been a private residence for several years. And it's quite obvious because of the amount of time people have lived here, 30-some years, that it's very much a pleasant, comfortable environment and really a family type of home. But what's important is that it'll be open pretty much for the first time ever. And I think that the unique quality about that is that people who are interested in the crime and interested in Lizzie Borden in general, they'll be able to see how she lived after the trial and maybe piece together some of their questions that they have. I think people will be interested in seeing how she lives. However, I think that the most exciting feature will be is that it will be an interactive place. People will walk in here, they're going to be transported back into time, and they will get to see what it looks like to look through a stereoscope, what a real Victrola sounds like, and get to touch and see what an Edison bulb looks like, things like that. The thing I'd like to say is that I'm just so appreciative, first of all, to have the opportunity to be able to restore a home like this, but also that the community has just been wonderful. I've had so much help and so much positive encouragement to do this. It's just been a great experience all the way around. We are planning on opening to the public May of 2017.
Did you know that there is a historical colonial home recreated as though it were the 1750s? That is Fall River's link to the American Revolution. You can find it at the historic Highlands District, where the Lafayette Durfee House is open.
My name is David Jennings. I am the director of the Lafayette Durfee Historical House, located at 94 Cherry Street, and it is the only home of the colonial era that is open to the public. Thomas Durfee, who was was the father of Joseph, moved here from Portsmouth, Rhode Island. His estate ran from south to north would be from Central Street to President Avenue, and from west to east would be from the Taunton River up to Northwood Tupper Pond. That was his estate. He was a very prominent citizen of Fall River. He was part of he was their colonial representative in the legislature. So the house reflects somewhat of what we would consider an upper middle class person, a person of prestige, Thomas Durfee. And his son Joseph Durfee was the commander of the Fall River Militia during the Battle of Fall River. The house was originally located on North Main Street in the area of the Superior Courthouse. The well for this house is still up on North Main Street, the corner of North Main and Maple Street, behind the Children's Museum. So the house was moved to this present location in 1874. It's post and beam construction. It has 5 working fireplaces, and it was fully reconstructed as you see it today, in 1976. We are open from 1 to 4 every Sunday from June through September. And occasionally we have special events planned throughout the year. You can check our Facebook page when the events will be scheduled.
As you can see, Fall River has so much to offer, and we hope you plan your next getaway here with us. My name is Michaela Astaire. Thank you for watching Discover Fall River.